Okay. All right, well, let's start with our agenda. Can you pull up the, Colleen, the PowerPoint? Okay, you can go to the next move down 2 slides. There we go.
All right.
Okay, so this is going to be our agenda for the day. We are going to talk about what BCS is, what you can expect from us, what we can expect from you, or what we do expect from you. We're going to do a quick icebreaker. We're going to do a workshop on educational planning, just a real basic intro. And then we are going to have a scholar panel at the end of the day, where we will be inviting, you already met Naeem, we'll be inviting 3 upperclassmen to come and talk about their experiences, and also to answer, you all submitted some amazing questions way back like a month ago. And so they'll be answering some of those questions or any that you have today. And that's our agenda.
Okay, so as Lynn mentioned, being on Zoom, we all get it. We all know that it can be very tiresome. So we're going to try our best to interject some energy and to move as fast as we can so you guys can enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. So let's start with what is BCS. Obviously, as we hope you guys know, is Berkeley Community Scholars. And pretty much we believe in 2 paths, 1 goal, meaning that we want to support both community college and students attending a 4-year institution to achieve and obtain a degree, as well as success in your career after that point. And we do that in a variety of ways. So you guys are part of what's called the Bachelor's Degree High Hope Scholarship Program. A long name, can be a tongue twister. For short, you can think of it as High Hopes. So Lynn and I are the college success advisors, meaning that we will be with you guys and supporting you guys through your journey. And we'll talk more about what that means. Overall, BCS is a community. It's also connects you guys to various networking opportunities. We provide scholarships, as you guys know. Does anyone know how much you provide? I hope. Does anyone just jump in and say how much we provide for those who are going? What was that?
16,000 over 4 years.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And the last piece that we provide in terms of creating a community for you all is mentoring, which we will talk about a little bit later in the PowerPoint. So Lynn is gonna bring this to a whole so you guys can truly, really understand what we do with her amazing animation. Take it away, Lynn.
This is hardly an amazing animation. Okay, so I felt like we needed an analogy so you could really understand what we are. So picture that you guys are the cook in this picture and that you have all of the ingredients, but you want to make this delicious looking plate of enchiladas and you have no idea how to do that. So there's this big empty space in the middle, which on the next slide, we'll show what that is. Okay, so if you can consider us like, we're providing the money, which helps you get the tools that you need for making those enchiladas, like that special, pot and pans. And then CSA Support is like the recipe. We have made these enchiladas before and we would be happy to share our recipe with you. And mentoring is someone who would be willing to Zoom chat with you and show you how they make it and how they add their special spice. But in the end, you're gonna put your own special twist on it. We're just hoping to save you some time and some money by sharing our knowledge with you. So the bachelor's degree is the enchiladas, if you didn't get that. Okay.
Isn't that amazing, guys? Did anyone else really enjoy the animation? I thought it was amazing.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about what to expect from us. We're going to go a little bit more in depth. You can go to the next slide. So the College Success Advisor role, we're here to provide encouragement, information, support, resources, and to help you overcome any challenges, be it with academics or with housing or with job searching, whatever it is. We're there to help you through it. And Linda's going to take the last 2. Linda?
All right, so in addition to what Lynn shared, we also will be contacting all of you throughout your years at community college, at your college that you are attending, as well as checking in with your mentors. So we want to make sure that you and your mentors do feel supported through this process. And if there's ever a barrier, you guys can always reach out to us as well. The last piece, as I mentioned earlier, is a career. Though we are rooted in helping you guys obtain your degree, we also definitely understand the importance of providing career support for you all. So that can look like anything. If you guys need help looking for internships, resume creation, cover letters, we also have a network of folks that we can connect you all to that are hopefully in your profession to kind of give you guys some insight about what you want to do. Okay. Answer me?
Yep.
All right. So we have a very short video from one of our current scholars. This is Asha. She is a 2018 scholar and she is currently attending UC Santa Cruz. So hopefully for those who are going to Santa Cruz, we can connect you guys to her at some point.
Sorry, I was unmuted.
Hi, my name is Asha Bird. I'm a 2018 High Hope Scholar. And some advice that I would give you is to definitely reach out to your advisor and your mentor if there is ever anything that you need help with or that you need to talk through. Some of the things that I've reached out to them for during my 2 years at UC Santa Cruz are help with budget planning, resumes, cover letters, and just to talk to them if I was going through something at home and I had no one else to talk to about it. They're really good at just walking through possible solutions to different situations and just a very good resource. So I would not hesitate to reach out if you ever need anything.
Thanks, Asha.
Yeah. Okay. One of the big aspects of our program is that you have a community of alumni, scholars, board members, staff with all different careers. And our alumni actually are in like possibly every field you can imagine, including law and medicine, business, social work. So we always have folks there to talk to you if you need some advice. We can connect you one-on-one. When we're not during COVID, we have hikes and parties and gatherings so that you can meet one another. And I think sometimes when you go off to school and other places are not Berkeley, it's nice to come home and connect with folks that really get you, and you don't have to go through this alone. Okay. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts and how the scholarship payments work. So for quarter students, this is a new thing that we're doing this year. We are going to pay our scholarship disbursements 3 times per year, coinciding with each beginning of each quarter, and in the amount of $1,333 for each payment. Semester students will be receiving $2,000 each semester. Linda's going to talk in a moment about what you need to do in order to receive your scholarship checks. But we also have additional funding that we want to let you know about. This is not always guaranteed. You have to apply for it, and we have to have the money available. But we have an emergency fund. We've always had it, but we've been raising money for it this year because of COVID and all the different emergencies that has created. So it's a very simple application. We just want you to know that it exists. So if you find yourself in a crisis, you can reach out. And then we also have finish line funds, and that's more, you know, for finishing school. If you take longer than 4 years, you can also apply for additional funds. And if we have them available, you could possibly be awarded them.
So one thing we forgot to mention earlier is if you guys have paper and pen, feel free to be taking notes. There'll be different points where we're going to provide a lot of information, and we don't expect you guys to necessarily memorize everything. So just feel definitely comfortable to write down some notes or leave to get some paper and pen. Okay, so how do you all checks. So the first thing, let me back up 1 second. So the next check that you guys get, which will be for fall, is the only check where you will not have to do the following steps that I'm going to go over. So between now and before you guys leave, as long as you guys fill out your agreements, you guys will be able to receive your check. And before you guys start school, Lynn and I will reach out to all of you and schedule some time so we can kind of go over some additional things. So once again, this first check is the only check that you guys will not have to do the following steps. After you complete your fall term, whether you're at semester or quarter, here are the things that you will need to do after each fall and after each spring. So the first step is submit an update. Every time the term ends, you guys will receive an email from us with a link that will ask you guys to basically summarize how your term went. We're going to ask for unofficial transcripts. We're going to ask for education plan, and don't worry if you don't know what that is. We'll go over that a little bit later today. And we're going to need a copy of your financial aid award to be attached and to be uploaded. So these things help us in terms of supporting you all and trying to understand what types of support that you guys may need in order to succeed and reach your goals. So once again, don't worry about it too much right now. You will always be reminded, and we will always go over these things even before it's due. The next thing in the steps that you need to do in order to get your next check, not this fall, but for the spring and so forth, is Lynn and I will then look at all the documents that you guys uploaded and look over your previous term and how everything went. And you will have to make sure that you guys maintain a GPA of 2.0 or higher, as well as taking the required amount of units. So we want every student to be a full-time enrolled student, which again, we'll go over what units mean. So it's okay if you guys are not too clear on what I'm speaking about. So yes, you have to be a full-time student, and you'll have to maintain a particular GPA in order for you guys to be in good standing to receive your check. If for some reason, you know, life happens, struggles happen, and for example, let's say you had a drop of class, so you guys are in less than full-time by the time you guys finish your quarter or your semester, Lynn and I will then make a meeting with you to talk about you potentially being on academic probation and what that means. And truly all it means is that we want to have a conversation about how can we get you back on track. So one, you can still meet your goals when you want to graduate, and also so you can receive your next check. So once again, even if there's a time when you guys are not meeting our requirements, Lynn and I will definitely meet with you individually, and we'll go over a plan to get you back on track. The last step in this series is once we get all of your uploads and your summary of what happened in your term, then the next week, Lynn and I will then mail you guys a check. Definitely right now for COVID, everything will be mailed, but if and when COVID does calm down and you guys are local and you want to pick up your check versus it being mailed, we can make that arrangement at that time. So it's a lot of information. I want to make sure, does anyone have any questions about how to get your check outside of this next one? Okay, cool. All right, Colleen. All right, so Lynn's awesome animation showed that in terms of creating your enchiladas, that mentoring is part of what we like to provide in our program. Does anyone in this space have a mentor currently? You can unmute and you can just say yes. And if you do, I just want to hear, you know, what that experience is like, or what are some of the benefits that you have received by having a mentor. No one has a mentor?
Well, they do now.
Okay. All right. Colleen or Fati, do you guys want to talk about just really briefly what it's like to have a mentor?
Yeah, sure, of course. I'll say a little something about it. So let's see, I'd probably say one of my mentors came through when towards the kind of like towards the end of my college experience. You know, this mentor was very helpful because, you know, they reached out to me, which is something that I wasn't really used to before. Someone reaching out saying, hey, Fati, like, how's it going? Like, how's college going? Is there anything I can help you with? Mm-hmm. And I was just like really struck by that. And I really appreciated that. So I'm like, hey, you know, like this person wants to talk and I would love to share with them, you know, what's going on. And you know, little by little, you know, they were able to help me with like my resume. And actually, I'm gonna give a huge shout out. That person is Lynn. So yeah, she was really there for me. And I remember when I volunteered with BCF a little after I graduated from college. Mind you, it took about 5.5 years for me to graduate because I did a double degree and I studied abroad. But anyways, you know, she really helped me to find a space at BCF, then BCF, and got to volunteer, then received a part-time job. And then a full year later, I received this amazing experience as a full-time job here, working at BCS as an advisor. So if it wasn't for Lynn and her mentorship and her guidance and support, I honestly don't think I would have been here. So definitely mentors are amazing people, you know, in your lives. Like, you know, just like, you know, Asha was mentioning in her video, like, please, like, take, you know, like, please ask them questions, like, follow up with them. And, you know, it's a really amazing experience. So, yeah.
Thank you, Fati. Yeah, so Fati mentioned some of the benefits that we believe in terms of having a mentor. We fully understand that college is its own experience. It can be awkward, it can be challenging, it can be exciting. There's a lot that comes with going to college besides the academics. And at BCS, we feel that we're trying to wrap you guys all with support. And sometimes having a mentor that can speak to some of the unique challenges that occur while you're in college can be very helpful. It doesn't always need to be academic in terms of why you would have a mentor or reach out. Sometimes it can just be something as simple as stressing out for a test, where maybe outside of that mentor, you may not know anyone else to talk to about what it means to be stressed out in college, because it's a very special kind of stress that you guys will all soon experience. So a mentor can be that person that's a listening ear, your soundboard, your motivator when you feel like you don't have it. So just think about it as an added cheerleader to your circle of network. Can you hit the next slide, please? All right, so this is just verbiage supporting what we just said about why mentoring is important. And definitely there's been many various studies about the benefits of mentoring. And so I'm just gonna quickly read what research has shared with us, which is research confirms that quality mentoring relationships have powerful positive effects on young people in a variety of personal, academic, and professional situations. So I will say this, so when you are being mentored, or in a mentoring relationship, when it's a positive experience, it can definitely lead to exposure to different things, different careers, different opportunities. It can increase your self-confidence. It can increase your awareness of what's going on. That's if it works well. So, you know, as any relationship, sometimes things don't go how we want it to go. And so if there's ever a point where you are matched with someone, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and it's not going well for whatever the reason is, Lynn and I are here to talk it through. And there's still opportunity for us to rematch if that is the necessary step that needs to happen in order for you guys to have a positive experience. Next slide.
Oh, this is Thafir. He just graduated a year ago, and he went to Wesleyan. So for our young lady who's going to Wesleyan, we'd love to connect you guys. He was a 2013 scholar, and he's now teaching in Richmond. And here's what he has to say about mentoring.
Hey everyone, my name is Thafir, and I am a 2015 Berkeley Community Scholar. I'm also a 2019 graduate from Wesleyan University in Connecticut. I had an awesome relationship with my mentor. I was lucky enough that we bonded on a personal level, also on an academic level. He actually went to the same college as me. So by luck, I was able to have a mentor with that same experience. But my experience through college was different than his, and we would talk about that. And I think hearing his point of view and comparing it to what I'm going through was really interesting, and I got a great insight from him. Two things I remember vividly from our relationship is I'm currently a 4th grade teacher through Teach for America here in Richmond, and I had an informational interview, and I got an email about it, but I had no idea what that is. So I reached out to Matt, and I said, hey, can you help me out with this? And he was like, sure. He jumped on the phone, and I wasn't sure if I should bring anything, if I should prepare anything, and honestly, what to wear. So he just guided me through the entire process, and eventually I did pretty well during those interviews, and I was thankful that I had Matt there with me. And I just remember one time also he visited me on campus. He moved to the East Coast, or back to the East Coast, and we were walking through campus after having lunch, and he asked me, where do you want to be in 10 years? And he thought for a really long time that he did not help me in any way. He thought I was doing such a good job in college that he didn't help me. But in reality, I told him I want to be kind of where you are. He said, how so? I said, you're able to change careers. And for some reason, I never thought about being able to change careers, because I grew up in a family where you go study and then you'll do this one thing. And for him, he was changing careers, and him just telling me about his experience really opened my eyes to what I could do. And so really just having those genuine conversations is really important. And I think the way to get there, for me at least, was knowing that it's a two-way street. So if your mentor is reaching out, you could too, and you should as well. Even if it's just like, hey, I can't talk and I'm really stressed over these exams, and then reaching out again later, just letting them know what's going on. Because I know that they want to be in the loop and they want to help you as much as possible. And you'll realize really soon that yes, you are getting a scholarship, but the mentorship is more priceless than that. You will get those relationships forever, and now I consider Matt as a friend. He's still my mentor, but more of a friend now. So cherish those moments, really reach out, and also think of your experience is going to be different than mine, because we're living through a pandemic and everything right now seems so uncertain. And I think having as much support as possible will really, really maybe ease some of your anxieties. So as someone who went through it, my experience might be different than yours, but we all have mentors and we all have the same support system through BCS. So good luck, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Sophia.
All right, cool.
Okay, here we go.
All right, so I'm gonna briefly go over this slide. We've kind of mentioned some of these things already in terms of what to expect from your mentor. Again, this person hopefully will be added to your community of support, a listening ear. At the essence of it all is gonna hopefully be your cheerleader, who will be there for the times when they are good and when they are bad during your next few years at college. Can we hit the next slide? One thing I forgot to mention earlier is, so our mentors basically are coming from the Berkeley and outside of Berkeley community. So our mentors all have gone through undergrad, so they all have their degrees. Some have advanced degrees. They are in a variety of professions. So we're gonna try our best to match you guys based on interests, based on what you're studying and things like that. So for expectations of what a match means. So a match is a pairing of you and your mentor. So at some point when we are finally able to pair you guys will be part of a match meeting where either myself or Lynn will be with you and your mentor via video chat. And we're gonna kind of go over some of the more detailed things like match expectations between you guys, communication, some of your school resources, things that really pertain to your actual match. We definitely will go over, and we hope that you guys will check in with your mentor. It doesn't mean you have to do it every single day or every single week, but if your mentor does reach out to you, we hope that you guys will respond, whether you can talk or not. So definitely keeping that line of communication open is super key. Outside of COVID, so we definitely typically say to definitely have a couple of face-to-face times. Usually you guys could do that in a BCS event space. So that also means you guys can get coffee or go to lunch or something like that, because there's nothing better than actually having a chance to sit with your mentor. So hopefully you guys can do that at some point during one of your breaks, whether it's summer or winter. Talked about timely response if they reach out to you, super important. And just don't forget, Lynn and I are here to support you guys if things are going well. If you have any questions, don't feel shy or awkward to just let us know. There's no judgment on our piece.
Okay. So really quickly, we're going to go over what we expect from scholars so that you will have an idea of, what we are expecting from you. And I don't know if this seems a little strange to all of you. You got the scholarship. Most scholarships, you would just typically receive a check. This one comes with us. So hopefully that's a good thing. So I know I've definitely had students tell me, I wondered for the first couple months, like why you were texting me so much. And I'm sure all of you have already had that experience of me texting you a lot, which brings me to the first slide, or the first point, which is consistent communication. So I hate being the one to constantly text. And there's something you can do about that. You can just respond, and then I will leave you alone. So I find that a lot of times students won't respond if they think that if they're one, like say if I'm like, are you coming to orientation, or are you going to be able to submit your video, or whatever it is. If they're not sure, or if they can't make it, they won't respond because it's uncomfortable or they're not sure. So it's okay to respond with a negative answer. We're fine with that. At least we know what's happening so we can stop harassing you. Sometimes we will be reaching out for really important things, like just recently I found out about an internship opportunity, and I was quickly texting. I had like a week for students to get things in. And I had some students were on it right away and got back to me right away. So they're going to get the opportunity. And some students hesitated because they were like, oh, I'm probably not qualified. So they didn't respond right away. They waited a couple weeks and they were like, do you think I'm qualified? And because of that, they'd already missed the opportunity. So consistent communication, we really appreciate it. I know it's hard sometimes. I'm not always great. It goes the other way. If I haven't responded to you, or you can always text me, Linda, any of us. But very, very key in our program and in life. Okay, the next thing is full-time enrollment. As Linda mentioned, we do expect students to be in school full-time. The check is connected to full-time enrollment. So it's a minimum of 12 units. That's what you have to maintain for financial aid. But if you want to graduate in 5 years, you really need to be taking 15 units. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. We also require you to maintain a GPA of 2.0, mainly because that's what your schools expect, and you'll go on probation with them and with us if it falls below. And once again, like communication, if you tell us ahead of time that you're struggling, maybe we can jump in and help you so that you don't ever have to get below that 2.0. But if you do, we're not going to be mad at you. You can just let us know. And it's happened many, many times. We're used to it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I certainly fell below 2.0 my first term, so I'm not going to judge. Okay. We already talked about updates. So the updates are connected with the check. They're twice a year, after your spring term and after your fall term. And then for our quarter students, we're also going to ask you to send us your transcript for that winter term, but you don't have to do an update for that one term. We are wanting you to participate in our workshops. We don't really have many required, but we have one more this week. We're gonna have one in the fall, and occasionally there's gonna be a required workshop. And let's see, what's my last thing? I can't see it on the slide. Oh, and yes, mentor communication, which Linda already covered. So we kind of raced through that because we're a little bit behind. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we've said so far? You can, let's see, let us know in the chat. I can't tell if, let's see.
I don't see a question.
Oh, everybody's off their video. Okay, so I guess we will take a break here.
Mm-hmm. All right, the next one. Okay, cool. I just stated the same thing, which is that we are going to be talking about just learning terms that you guys definitely should know as you enter your first year. The importance about scheduling and planning, what to consider when you're selecting courses. As I mentioned earlier, what a student education plan is. And then we have a very short activity at the end. All right. So who can tell me what a unit, or sometimes it's called a credit, who can tell me what a unit is? And again, you can just unmute yourself and go ahead and share. or you can write it in the chat box, whichever one's easier. Does anybody know what a unit is? Okay, no problem. Okay, so a unit equates to 1 hour when we're talking about classes in college. So when you see things like where it says 3.0, that means that's a 3-hour course, where sometimes that can mean that you can have a class that is scheduled for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and each class is 1 hour. Or you can have that same class and it can be once a week and it equates to you being in that class for 3 hours. So once again, a unit just simply means 1 hour. And at the end of all of your completed units is also how they add to your overall points. So just remember that it's really simple. It's called a credit sometimes depending on what institution that you guys are going to.
Okay. So I have a question. If you need to complete 15 units in a term, let's say you're either a quarter student or a semester student. Let's start with quarter. If you're a quarter student, how many units do you have to complete in a year? Let's see.
So we can't see if your hands are up. So if you guys just want to unmute yourself and answer, feel free.
Ella said 45. Very good. Okay, so thank you, Ella. All right, so this is a timeline showing you exactly for each type of school how many units you need to graduate in 4 years. And the reason why we're showing you this is because sometimes students will start out with 12 units, which is okay, that's full-time. But if you continue to use 12 units, say you're in a semester school, by the end of the first year, you'll have 24 units, so you'll be down a couple classes. So we're telling you this because if you decide to take fewer units and you do want to finish in 4 years, you need to use like the summers or something to make up courses. Okay, can you go to the next slide?
So really quick pop quiz. So when Lynn says 12 units, how many hours is that?
12 hours.
Oh, right on. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about types of classes. I would love if, somebody submitted a question on the survey saying, does college have A through G, something similar to A through G? And it does. And these are basically what the A through G college level is. There is like a prescribed plan that you have, like a prescribed list of courses that you're each going to need to complete. So I'm going to start with talking about general education classes. Is there anyone brave out there? And we will enter you to receive a gift card if you are brave enough to define general education units for us. Anybody?
Aren't they like the basic courses you have to take in order to graduate with a bachelor's degree?
Right on.
Very good. So GEs are basically, they're the courses that, you have to complete different categories, and the general ed courses are the ones that are required for everyone, like no matter what major you are. They're supposed to give you a foundation in like the math, science, writing. Those are like the basic classes. Mostly you complete them in your first couple of years that everyone has to take. Okay, how about the major prerequisites? Does anybody know what those are? Anybody? Okay, so they are super, super important. Prereqs are courses you need to take before you declare your major, or like a lot of you right now will be like pre-major, like pre-bio. You have to take a certain number of like required courses, lower level courses, in order to be accepted into your major. So these are super important. And what you want to do is look up your major to see what prereqs you need to take so that you make sure you're taking them, because you might get to being ready to declare your major and be missing a class that you're supposed to have in order to be admitted into your major. And then major courses, they are the specific courses that you have to take in order to declare your major. So, you know, there will be a lot of different required, like say your political science, you'll have to take, you know, government courses and different courses. They'll tell you how many units for each subject matter. And then you can take some upper division electives in your major as well. And the final group of classes are the elective classes, and some of those are just fun classes you can take or classes that you have an interest in that you can use to apply to your total number of units. Does anybody know how many units they need to have to graduate from your particular school? And you can just type them into the chat room if you want, or yell them out. Anybody? Let's see. Alani, do you know how many units you need to complete at UC Merced?
I'm not sure, but I think it's like the typical number, like 120, I think it said on the last slide.
Very good. Okay, so 120 is right. And sometimes your particular major might have a few extra requirements, but overall, yeah, that's very good. Okay, so here's a little pop quiz. Who can tell back to me what the major prereqs are?
The major prerequisites are the classes that you have to take in order to declare your major.
Yes, very good. Thank you so much. All right, we can move on from this. Okay, I think you can take it away, Linda.
Okay, so Lynn mentioned the different groupings of classes. So I'm interested to know, is there anyone in this space that has not registered for classes yet at your school? Okay.
I have not.
You have not? Okay, so a few you, okay, cool. So this next section, we're gonna kind of briefly go over how you can think about signing up for your various classes. Do you guys have dates set up or do you guys know when you are going to be able to enroll for your courses?
On the 26th for me.
Okay.
For me, we just enrolled today.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so this will be very helpful, hopefully. All right, go ahead and hit the next one, Colleen. Okay, so here's some things for you guys just to think about as you guys are going to enroll, or for those of you who have already enrolled, here's some things you can consider the next time your dates come up for the next term. So definitely always, always, always do your research. A lot of you hopefully have met or know who your academic advisor is, and those are the folks on campus that are supposed to help guide you guys in terms of knowing your graduation dates, what you need to do to graduate, if you're in the right courses and things like that. Side note, when I say courses, I'm going to be saying classes and courses back and forth, but they are the same thing. All right, so one thing that you guys can definitely consider is to research your general education, AKA GE, and your major requirements using your course catalog. Who knows what a course catalog is?
I believe it shows like all the classes that you can take for like the school.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. You can do my job for me. Okay, cool. So yes, so what she said is right on. A course catalog, every school has it, and it lists all the classes with a small definition of what that particular class is. So before you guys get your dates, if you haven't registered yet, this is a good thing for you guys to practice so you know exactly what you want and you know what you're getting into in terms of what they're going to be teaching. Another thing you could think about is to definitely search on your school's website the major checklist. And again, every major should have one. And it's basically a listing of the classes that you're going to need to take to achieve and obtain the full amount of required classes to graduate. So that's something I highly recommend if you have a date coming up and you guys have not registered yet. Actually, you can still do it even if you have already registered for your first term. Definitely, we'll talk more about researching for your professors and your courses. We're going to talk about what a shopping cart is, which is something similar to what you do when you're on Amazon, but for classes. And then we're going to talk about meeting with your advisor to help you guys pick the correct courses.
Great. I want to ask a question if somebody would be brave enough to tell us, I know someone said they've already registered. Would you be willing to tell us what your experience was like and how it worked at your school?
Yeah, so what it went like, first I had to talk to my advisor. So because I wanted to double major, I first declared my major after doing a lot of research and talking over it with her, and basically all the advisors from both departments. And then they both kind of gave me an outline of what courses I would be required to take in order to fulfill all the requirements and then also obtain my degree. But for first semester, they were all actually telling me to kind of take courses that were not as full of heavy material as all the other classes. So there's obviously upper division courses that we're gonna have to take, but to start off, to just do something a little easier. And then basically what I did was we formed a list like before the date and time of enrollment began, so that you're ready, because universities are just larger schools in general, like community colleges. The classes would get full like quickly, but not as quick. And then yeah, so just having a list, I would recommend just having a list of the classes and putting them on the list that's on the portal, having them ready so that you just click enroll right when the time opens up, and then you have more of a chance to be enrolled in the courses that you want. So yeah, and then also just making sure that when you do select the courses, there's the option of clicking the waitlist check. So if you don't get into it, being on the wait list, you would automatically be put on the wait list. So instead of like losing the chance altogether, you could still be on the wait list. So yeah.
That's great. You had a great experience. I'm really glad to hear that. We're going to show you really quick how you do your own research. But I definitely recommend, I know that sometimes with the bigger schools, they will just rush you through registration. So we want to show you kind of, if you haven't registered yet, like how you can do your own research and how you can do it for upcoming terms, and always bring that research to an advisor so you can share it with them. So this is a screenshot of UC Davis's course catalog and some of their political science courses. You can see, if you look at the description, it will tell you how long the class is, how many units you get. If there's any prerequisites, this first one, you need consent of the instructor, or you need one course, or one course is recommended. So it's a good place to start. You can look up your major and read the courses that are available. Can you go to the next slide? Okay, a lot of the schools have these checklists or roadmaps, which Batul was talking about. Like, it's a list of all of the different categories of courses that you need for your major and how many units you need in each category. So it's good to just be familiar with these, even if like you don't completely understand it. I think personally, like, we don't pretend to know, like every school is so different and there's little unique requirements for each school. So we're trying to give you like a general overview. But look for a checklist or roadmap for your major and you should be able to find a list. Okay, can you go to the next slide? Okay, this one, this is UC Berkeley. I looked up their biology requirements and I only included one class, but they had a whole list. And on the left, you can see some of the lower division courses that are required. This looks so hard to me: calculus and chemistry and bio and physics. But anyway, you can look at the courses. It'll give you the date and time that they're offered. This is sort of what you'll get on your portal. You can basically punch in like the semester you're looking for courses, this topic or the subject that you're looking for, and it'll generate this whole list of open classes. Or it'll tell you if there's a wait list and how many units and everything. And then if you can see on here, you can see the professors' names. I actually looked up these guys and they weren't very popular. Whoever is, I think it's Ramaj that's doing integrative bio. This is a general bio lecture, so I picked a different professor. But it's good to do a little bit of research on the professor on Rate My Professor. Just treat it with a grain of salt. Like, people like to complain, so there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like a professor. But if they're generally like, if they get like a 2.0 and everyone can't stand them and they say they're a terrible lecturer, you might want to believe that. But if they overall, it might give you some information. You punch in the name of your school and the professor you're looking for, and it will tell you sort of their rating. It will tell you, you know, it's kind of like a Yelp review. They'll give you like information about their teaching style or how hard their tests are. And it's a good thing to, you might not have a choice of professor, you might only have one section that's open, but if you can, I would always recommend trying to do your research on them. Okay, next week.
Really quick, Lynn, you mentioned the term portal. Can you explain to us what portal is?
Does somebody want to tell me what their portal is?
You mean like the name of my portal, or
just like, what is a portal?
What is a student portal?
A
Oh, I
student.
know for like my school, I'm pretty sure it's the same for all schools, but it's just
Yeah.
like where you like go to like get everything. Like mine has like different like links, so it's like my checklist or like my admissions, my registration. It's like all that kind of stuff, just like in one.
And that's also where you'll find your shopping cart. I think most schools have something like this where you, and I think what Batul was describing is like the ideal way to do it, because you research the courses that you think you might want to take, and then you bring them to your advisor. If you already have them in your shopping cart, maybe you have more than you really plan on taking in your shopping cart. Like, you know, just like you would on Amazon, you put all of the outfits in there and then you might delete some as you go. So this is sort of the same thing. And there might be a course that's waitlisted, so you can add yourself to a wait list. But that way, schools, freshmen have very specific times when they can register, but upperclassmen as well, you'll get like a date and time. So you want to have everything in there so that the minute they open your registration, you can just click submit, because I think classes fill up really quickly and you want to have first priority. The other thing is, I think if you are an EOP student, like an educational opportunity student, or if you are in some kind of program at your school, sometimes you'll get priority registration. So one of the first things that is good to do is to call that program and see what kind of benefits they have for you.
Also, the more units you have, the earlier your registration is. So even if you're a second year, if you have third year standing because you took a bunch of extra classes, you will also get earlier registration. It's based on unit, like how many units you've taken, not like you've been there for X number of years.
That's great, Colleen. Thank you.
Okay, so Lynn has given us some great information, and so we want to take the next couple minutes to test it out and see what you guys remember. So this is gonna take for you guys to actually actively participate in this. So here it's a challenge. The activity is, we want to see if you guys can research your general education and your major requirements. So we're gonna give you guys 3 minutes, and there's 2 parts. The first part is, we want you to go to your school website and type in, go to Google, type in your name of the school. And then on your school website, you're going to type in whatever your major is or whatever you think your major is going to be. And we want you to list down 5 lower division courses under your major requirement. That is the first challenge. The second part to this is, we want you to do the same thing. Go to Google, type in the name of your school, and we want you guys to list 3 general education classes under the requirements. Okay, does that make sense? So you have 2 parts to this. Does anybody have any questions on what to do or how to do it?
Paula, do you have a question?
So I'm kind of confused on what we're doing.
Sure.
Okay. So let me actually make so what I like to do, instead of going necessarily to the school website, although you can always do that, if you go, like, let's say you say University of San Diego, you'll type in University of San Diego, political science major requirements. And hopefully the first thing that pops up is going to be a link on your school website that will bring you right to the page you want to go to. You might have to do a little searching around, but I find that if you, rather than searching this like SF State and then trying to go on SF State and find, like, you might look at SF State biology major requirements, and then they're going to bring you to a page hopefully that will link you to a list of the courses that you need to take. So if that's not the experience you have, you let us know, but this is our recommendation to kind of, you know, quickly try to find a little bit of information about your major requirements and your GE requirements. Does that make sense? Okay.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to time you guys. So you guys have 3 minutes. And what we're hoping to see is whoever is able, the first 4 students who are able to do part 1 and part 2, will definitely put your name in a raffle. And just so you guys know, we've been talking about raffle pretty much all day. And we have some awesome gift cards that we want to give out to you guys. And it's all done by raffle tickets. So if you are one of the 4, we'll definitely put your name down for the raffle. So in 5 seconds.
Wait, Linda, before they start, just so it's consistent and we like catch everyone who comes back, like the first 4, should they like vocally like say they're back or something? So we
No, they're going to type it in the chat.
Okay, everyone who's typing in chat, make sure you type it to everyone and not just me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yes.
I might not see it.
So I already have one from Amara.
Oh, she already started? All right, so I'm going to start the timer now. You guys have 2 minutes now to do this. Ready, set, go. Hopefully you guys have paper and pen. Or you can put it in your phone.
They can type it.
Yeah.
Ooh, Imara's are general chemistry, econ, and calculus. Yikes.
Is that for everyone? I don't see it. I don't see
No, she just sent it to me, but everyone should respond to everyone.
Can you copy and paste to the general?
Oh yeah, I can.
Yeah, everyone double check and make sure you're chatting to the whole group and not to one person.
I'm not sure if we can chat to the whole group.
Oh, really? Oh, that's my fault
Yeah,
then.
it's not letting me.
Oh.
I can repost, I guess.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the timer because that's just.
Stop or start? Hasn't it been like a minute?
Yeah, but I want to make sure people have this fair advantage.
Oh, also, Linda, Natalie's in the waiting room, so it might almost be panel time. It's almost 12:30.
Oh, I just let her in.
Oh, okay.
The panel starts at 12:40.
Sorry, guys. We're trying to make sure that you guys have access to email or to chat with everybody.
So I see, yeah, responding to everyone is an option. Okay, Matios responded, or Matios, I'm sorry. And Alani.
All right.
Richard has Introduction Biology 1.
Oh.
Okay.
What are we supposed to answer in the chat again?
Just include your major, some of your lower division major requirements and or your GE requirements.
Oh, ha 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 ha. Okay. I just fixed the chat, I think.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. These are some cool classes.
Oh, you guys are quick too. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, social analysis, foreign language and culture and civilization. That sounds cool.
Ooh. I can't see. It's okay. You can just read them to me.
Natalie wrote intro sociology, sociological analysis, social theory, and sociology topical courses.
Oh, you guys got some interesting classes.
Remaj, math 10, biophysics, chemistry.
Woo.
I know.
Sorry, we're as you can tell,
we're social science. Yeah, I always see that and I'm like, let's see. You guys are, I think you guys have this down. This is pretty good. Okay, we're gonna stop this part.
Ooh, ethical decision making in business. That sounds kind of cool.
That sounds really good.
So to be fair, because you guys all did an amazing job, you guys are all so quick. We're gonna write down everyone's name, and everyone that actually put down a response will get a raffle ticket, a virtual raffle ticket.
Okay, let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
Okay, I think this is you, Linda.
Okay, so we've been talking about education plan since we returned from our break. And just to break it down really quick, so an education plan is a document that allows you to map out your graduation requirements by term. So to think about it in a different way, it's basically to organize yourself so you guys know what classes that you should be taking, and you have a sense of where you should be in terms of your graduation plans. It's very important because it gives you direction, it gives you organization, it allows you to prep, For those of us who need to see the bigger picture, it allows us to understand the steps that we need to take in order to get to our ultimate goal, which is to obtain a degree. And it definitely saves time and money. What we don't want you guys to do is to not have a sense of what you should be taking, and you guys end up being in school, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you can end up being in school for 6 or 7, 8 years sometimes because you've been taking the wrong courses, which then equates to more money out of your pocket because you have to pay for the additional time. So overall, we want you guys to start thinking about what to take in an early manner. So that way you know exactly what you need to do so you can hopefully finish in 4 or 5 years and you guys can start your career earlier than students who maybe don't have a sense of why they're taking these classes.
Really true.
All right, is this me again? Sure is. Okay, so here's a sample one. This is a 2-year and not a 4-year education plan. Most of them can look like this. There's different types, but this one is probably one of the more simplistic looking ones. So as you can see, it's gonna ask you guys for your first semester and for you to list your courses, how many units it is, and is it a GE course or is it a major course? My tip and our tip for you all is to definitely, we can send this to you guys in an email as well, but you can use this format to start it off and fill it in as much as you can, or you can take this form with you when you meet with your academic advisor, so you both can kind of go over what will my first 2 years look like? What should it look like in order for me to obtain my 4-year run that I want to spend time at this college, or 5 years, whatever it may be. And also, for your next check in spring, when I mentioned earlier about what an update is, we're going to ask for a copy of your educational plan for the first couple years. So if you guys can meet with your advisor early on in the semester or the quarter, that's wonderful. But just as long as you guys have it done before January is what we're going to be asking.
Yep. And we will send that out to everyone. Okay. So real quick, the number of units, don't forget, full-time is between 12 and 15. 15 is what you need to take in order to complete your courses in 4 years, at least. And then somebody asked if it's possible to take summer courses at community college. We definitely recommend, if you want to take some courses, some general education courses, those are the only ones you can take. If you want to get those out of the way, or if you have, say you have to do calculus, sorry to keep picking on the hard math and science, but say you have to take calculus and you're a little nervous about it, if you want to just take that over the summer at community college, that would be a good idea to knock that out. It's cheaper, and it's a way to get through your, some of your classes quicker. Someone also asked if you can take classes simultaneously at community college and your school, and yes, you can. And you just want to make sure that your school will accept that class. So that's one thing you want to check with your school, is that they're going to accept. A lot of the private schools especially won't accept community college classes unless you pre-authorize it. We would recommend balancing your challenging classes with your easier classes. So some of you, like we've had students take, again, calculus, physics, chemistry, all in their first term. We would recommend trying to take at least like a GE, or balancing out some of your, well, for me, it's a harder class. So maybe if those are your easy classes, maybe writing classes, you only want to add in one, but whatever you're strong in, try to add a couple of those classes in your first term along with the ones that you're not as strong in. And also the types of classes. So you don't want to be having classes that are all heavy in reading and writing, and then, you're reading like many books. So try to think about the workload as well as the type of course.
That can be inevitable depending on your major, Lynn.
It can be, I know, but try. And if you find yourself struggling during the term, definitely contact us for advice. There's a lot of options out there to protect your GPA that you might not be aware of, like, you can always take a withdraw. You don't want to do that too many times, but you can withdraw from a class past the add drop date, or you can also ask your professor to give you an incomplete. Anyway, we're not going to go into too much detail about this, but just know that if you're really struggling in a class, reach out to us and we can talk through some possible solutions. And yes, and I mentioned that you can take GEs at a community college to save money. All right, okay.
All right, so we are definitely wanting to make sure that you guys understand who are the various people that on your campus that you can go to seek additional help. Of course, Lynn and I are here, but we also want to make sure you guys are familiar with the various offices that provide support. So this is some of them, not all, depending if you're part of some of these programs. So professors are, for the most part, they all, not for the most part, they all have office hours, but every professor is going to be different in how they conduct the office hours. And what office hours are is a set time that professors give to students to come into their office to ask questions or to chat. Strongly encourage that you guys do this for all your classes if you can. It helps for the professor to know you. It helps for you to get the one-on-one attention that you may require to figure out a question that you might have for your class. Some of them you can definitely schedule appointments. So definitely check your syllabus, which is a kind of an outline that all classes that you get for every class to let you know what's going to happen in that course. For those who are in EOP, definitely make use of your advisors and your counselors. They are there to help you guys. They pretty much are one-on-one oriented. So just drop in, schedule if you need to in order to answer some of your immediate questions. Peer advisors, usually various programs offer peer advisors, which is simply means that it's going to be an advisor for someone that's a little bit older, so either a junior or a senior. There's Dean's of Students Office if you have a larger challenge, maybe something happened with your professor, if you want to fight a grade, if you want to fight GPAs, things of that nature. They also provide other services. So definitely, I strongly recommend that you guys look that up when you have the time before school starts, or reach out to Lynn and I, we can kind of go over it with you. Campus centers. Most campuses have a learning center, multicultural center, Latino, African American, Asian Pacific development offices. So if you feel inclined, definitely check these spaces out. They're very much so inclusive and supportive. And they too sometimes have their own set of tutors and advisors and counselors and things like that. And it's just another space for you to meet new students. And of course, definitely get to know who your advisors are in terms of academic, whether it's for your major or just general advisement. So these are not, again, every single support services on campus, but some of them for you guys to start thinking about as you guys are trying to navigate where to go for various challenges. So this is our favorite part of the orientation, is having our new scholars meet our current scholars, and for our older scholars to share some of their experiences and answer questions. So I do want to ask that if it's possible for you guys to put your microphones on mute, just so there isn't any background distractions. All right, so we have 3 older scholars in this space today that are going to share some of their wisdom with all of you, and we're super juiced to see them. I haven't seen you guys in a while. You guys look older and mature and whatnot, so I'm super excited. So I guess we'll start with Naeem. If you want to introduce yourself to the space, your name, the school, what year you are, your major, and then if you want to do a short description of your college experience so far.
Okay. My name is Naeem Hopkins. I think you can see the name up there. But I go to San Francisco State University, and I'm majoring in business management, and I'm a 3rd year. And a little bit about my college experience. I don't stay on campus or in SF, I commute. And I started off as a biology major my first year, realized that really wasn't really the road I wanted to take. Had a lot of conversations with Lynn and Linda about my struggles with like figuring out what I wanted to do next. Thought I wanted to be an accountant, wasn't for me. And I was able to meet some cool people in my classes that kind of shifted my direction. And now I'm business management. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Naeem. Miss Natalie, would you like to introduce yourself? Sorry, there's another Natalie in the space. If you'd like to introduce yourself to the group.
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie. I attend Xavier University of Louisiana. I'm going into my 2nd year, so I'm class of 2023. And my major is biology with a pre-med emphasis. And If I could describe my college experience in one word, it'd probably be enriching.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's powerful. Last but definitely not least, Mr. Raj, do you want to share and introduce yourself?
So my name is Raj, and I'm going into my third year at UC Santa Cruz, and my major is Technology Information Management. And if I had to describe my college experience in one word, it would probably be enlightening.
Wow, you guys are deep. This is really great. Okay, very, very good. So, my folks in this space, we're going to start the panel, and we do have some questions already listed here. Some of them came from you guys when you guys all filled out your survey many, many weeks ago. And then towards the end, we will have some time for you guys to ask any new questions that you may have. So we'll let you guys know when that time is going to come up. So I'm going to start things off with Raj. And the question that I have for you is, how do you become more outgoing in college? And if you can look at it from two ways. So you started school pre-COVID. So if you could talk about how it was for you to be outgoing pre-COVID, and maybe some tips that you have. It's not post-COVID, during COVID, if you can do both.
All right, so I'll start off with pre-COVID and with my experience. I think going into college, it's really it's a really big change for everyone. And I think the best way, or like the easiest way to like be outgoing, is to like find a comfortable space where like you can relate with people. So you could be joining clubs, and I feel like this could still be like this. You could still do this with there being COVID, because a lot of campuses are doing clubs like via Zoom and stuff. So you could join clubs, and that could be a great way for you to meet other like-minded people. And I feel like they're also like the clubs are also putting in an extra effort to like get everyone to know each other and interact with each other, because it is kind of hard to like meet new people. So I feel like the number one way right now with classes being online is probably joining a club. And so that's one great way. And then another way that's kind of pre-COVID is like talking to your neighbors in class, like obviously before class starts, but talking to your neighbors in class, or even in your dorms. Just putting yourself out there is like the biggest thing. And not like, you have to like realize that everyone's in like the same situation as you, you know? Everyone's trying to meet new people. So when you put yourself out there, I'm pretty sure like a lot of people will be reciprocative of that.
Oh,
Great
awesome
advice.
tip. That's awesome tip. All right. So Mr. Naeem, my question for you is, how many times, in your opinion, should a student visit their family?
Okay. So for me, I stayed in the Bay, so my family had the same expectations for me like I was in high school. So that was an adjustment for me. If you stay in the same area, I would say a conversation definitely should be had, because I wouldn't say it's good to just ghost them and just focus on yourself. Like, let them know where you're at with your work and everything, and let them know that you're busy. But I would definitely say, for me at least, it was helpful to see them out once a week if I could squeeze that time in, because as much as it is work to squeeze that time in, it's also refreshing for you. To be around the people that you grew up with and the people that care about you, the people that love you, because college can be hard with the work. You get really locked in on that, and it can become stressful. So sometimes it is good to just have that family time. So if you can, I would say once a week. If you live with them, then it'll be more than that, obviously. But if you're not around them like that, I would say once a week would be good.
Right. Very good. And just so you guys know, the questions that we have predetermined are set up by category. So the two questions that were just answered were in the realm of social life. So now I'm going to have them talk about their experience with support, starting with Raj. So Raj, can you share with the group just your experience with meeting with your counselor, or just having someone to talk to in college? What was that like? How did you approach that?
So to start off, at least for those of you going to Santa Cruz, East Santa Cruz, you have two counselors. So the way it works is you have one like overall counselor who take care of like everything, and then you have like a major counselor who's like particular to your major. And one of like the biggest things that you guys should definitely do in your first quarter is go to your major advisor. Like, I cannot stress that enough. It's like the number one thing you guys should definitely do, because there are a lot of, I would like to call loopholes to get through college. One of them, like for an example, is like I was able to get 2 classes done with 1 class instead of taking 2 classes and giving the college more money. And I feel like I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't gone to my counselor. So the college counselors know all this. So I like strongly suggest that you guys go to your major advisor and talk to them and try to come up with a 4-year plan. Or even if you guys are trying to graduate in 3, like talk to them, see if you guys can do it. Because honestly, like you guys will be surprised like how like it's doable, like graduating earlier than 4 years. And I think it's like the place to start is talking to your college advisor. And yeah, it's like I would definitely say talk to your advisor, and that's like someone who can really help you succeed. And also you also have lit like everyone at BCF to help you guys too, so don't forget that.
Thanks for the shout out. Okay, that's cool. All right, so Naeem, this is a big one that a lot of our scholars asked and try to get insight upon is study tips and suggestions. And if you could think about study tips also in terms of just what it's like remote learning and any other tips that you may have in that world about studying.
I would say for remote learning, turn your phone off. No, for real though, because it's such a distraction. And at least for me, what I learned is that when I think about checking it, because when you turn your phone back on, it takes a minute to turn back on. So I have to think like, all right, do I actually want to sit here and wait for the phone to turn back on? Like, is it that important? Whereas if it's on, I could just turn on and go on Instagram, go on whatever, just to like for a minute, but then you get stuck on there and then you kind of or for me, I lose my motivation to keep going. So for remote, I would say turn your phone off. When we get back to college, I would say the library, because it's something about being around other people that are working hard that's going to make you say, all right, you look up and you're on your phone and everybody else is studying. It's like, all right, let me actually take this time to get my work done. Study groups as well. You guys can hold each other accountable, bring each other back on track. Because it's hard, because we got so many distractions that are really accessible for us. So you kind of have to be disciplined with putting those away. Sometimes I'll put my phone in a different room, to be honest. And that's helpful for me too, because then it's off. So I have to go through turning it back on. And I also have to go through getting up and going into another room to go get it, just for like a distraction that's not even necessary. So I would say turning the phone off. And then when we get back to school, going to the libraries and tutoring centers, they have those.
And I know we all may know what this is, but can you just share with us, what's a tutoring center?
Tutoring center is where you can go and they have at SF State, they have students that might be in your field, so that they've taken the classes that you've taken and they can provide you with help on homework, assignments, and also recommendations for professors as well, which is a big help.
Yes, all these pearls of wisdom from you guys. All right, Miss Natalie, I have the same question for you. What is your best study tip that you can think of to give to our scholars of 2020?
I think your best study tip could be just like managing your time well. I think time management plays a big role in how your grades come out, as far as I can say. Definitely when you're studying, you want to start early. If you know that you're going to have like a test, you want to make sure that you're setting up your schedule to where you can study and break everything down on certain days at certain times. And that's going to be helpful because you don't want to cram, because cramming is going to like force you to try to force all the information that you learned in like a span of a couple months into like one little time period. And that's going to be hard for you because you're not going to be able to remember that as far as like going long term, because it's only going to be in like your short term memory. And I would also say like don't tear yourself down for wanting to take breaks either. because taking breaks is good. You don't want to be studying for like 2 hours and not take a break because you can burn out. So like things that I do personally would probably be like, maybe if I study for like 20 minutes, I'm going to take a break for about 3 minutes. If I'm going to study for an hour, I'm going to want to, take a break for about 5 minutes. If I'm going to study for 2 hours, I probably want to take an hour break. So, just make sure you're using your time wisely and don't be afraid to take a break whenever you need to. Don't beat yourself up. Don't feel like you have to be forced to have all the information at once in your head.
Yes, very good tip. Thank you. So Raj, and I think this is a question that all three of you guys can answer, but we'll start with Raj. What is the difference in your opinion between high school and college level classes?
So to be honest, coming from Berkeley High, I feel like it really prepared me for college level classes, whereas like the difficulty jump wasn't really like that significant. And I think the biggest part about like college level classes isn't necessarily the difficulty, but utilizing your time in the correct way, like having a plan. Oftentimes my first quarter, I found myself, so if I had like a class and then I had like a 3-hour break, I would usually just waste that 3-hour period prepping for my class when in actuality, I wasn't really doing anything. And I feel like that's like something you got to figure out where like, you got to make sure you're actually like utilizing your time really well, where like in high school, you learn a majority of the material in class, but with college, you really have to put it upon yourself to go get like the extra help from tutors and other like resources for you to like actually succeed in that class. And it's like, I feel like in high school, you could kind of get by with doing a little work to get an A in a class, but in college, you really have to put in the effort to get that A. Like, it's not just like, you're going to have to put in more effort essentially, but the difficulty isn't too much harder.
I just feel like that last part was so huge. Can you repeat that? Because I'm not sure if I heard you.
The last part I think I said was like, the difficulty isn't too much like more difficult, but like it's more about like you putting in the effort to get that A. Like it's not more difficult, you just have to put in more effort.
So if you guys remember anything at all from this scholar panel, I think that was a huge lesson about the idea of effort, that sometimes students come from high school where you guys were super on it and you probably had to study for 2 seconds and then you guys got an A on your test. When in college, it doesn't always relate like that. So I think that was a good point that you brought up, Raj. So Naeem and Ali, do you guys want to talk about what you feel the difference are between high school and college level work?
I would say I agree with Raj. Yeah, you got to put in a lot more effort. They also give you less time, which isn't bad because you end up getting it done. And it's just on you to get it done. But yeah, the one thing that I noticed a lot was just a lot less time. And in high school, I don't know if it was for everybody else, but if I had an essay, my teachers, they would talk to me about it consistently. Like, oh, hey, it's coming up. It's coming up. They might talk about it twice. The day they assign it, and maybe the next day you see them. But other than that, it's on you to make sure that you get it done. So I would advise like getting one of the planners. They sell them at school, and they're pretty helpful because they have like similar to Berkeley High. They have the all of the days we have off and the days we might not need to come in and stuff like that. So I would just say a planner, and then the biggest difference for me was just the time that you have to get it done.
Wisdom. What about you, Ms. Howers?
I agree with everything that has already been said. I've noticed that, like they mentioned, time is such a really big thing. You really want to make sure you're managing that well. When your professors are assigning work too, sometimes they might assign multiple assignments like on top of each other, and it's on you to get those done. And in high school, you don't have that. And I believe that if you just manage your time well, you could do well. So just make sure you're managing that time. You know, you have a class that's usually 3 hours a week. You're probably going to want to study for twice that amount so you can really just get the material down. So that's just the difference. And once you get that down, you should be fine.
Yes, yes, yes.
Linda, is it okay if I add one more thing?
Oh, of course. Go ahead.
So one thing I noticed a lot of people do, like my freshman year, was like when it's that 8 a.m. and like you have to wake up really early to get to class. A lot of people are like, you know what, I'm just gonna miss class for today. And I feel like oftentimes that leads to like a path where it's like, oh, I missed yesterday, might as well miss today. And then you get behind on the material because like in college you really go through like chapters really fast. Like you go through a chapter or two a day. And so it really makes you fall back. And it's really hard to catch back up. So I feel like a really big thing is like making sure you're going to class if you want to do well in your classes. Like that's the number one thing like I could stress apart from time management.
Awesome. These are all great tips. All great tips. So I'm going to jump into general, and there's some good questions that you all asked in the survey, and I'm going to go with you, Ms. Sowers, Natalie. Let's see, what are some tips for the first few weeks of college, in your opinion?
Okay, so some tips that I have for the first week of college is try to locate the resources on your campus, because this is going to make it easier for you to find things that you need to go to, like if something is going wrong, like say something in financial aid is going wrong, you're not fiscally cleared, you're going to want to go find like those places so you can take care of that. Also, I think you should like once you start going to classes, you should attend office hours even if you don't need help, because that's going to help you get to know your professors, and that's going to help you build that relationship that you need. And so when it comes time for you to get like a recommendation, you know, you're already good with your professors, you already know them, they know you, and it's not like you're just like a random person to them, because they're seeing all these students like in a span of a couple weeks. Like they're seeing all these students in a span of a couple weeks, and then once you get down to it and you're like in these classes for a couple years, you know, they've already met all these other students as well. So you know, like when you keep going to those classes, your professor's gonna get to know your face, they're gonna get to know you, and that's gonna make you stand out. Lastly, I think another tip would probably be to make sure that you attend like volunteer opportunities and other ways to get accustomed to the campus and just get involved, because this is how you're going to meet friends. This is how you're going to get to know what you like to do. And I just think it's a really great opportunity to build your resume as well.
Yes, you guys are so awesome. I wish I knew this stuff when I was a freshman.
I know.
So I forgot and I skipped a section. So finances is a huge concern for many of us who are starting off in college. And so for Raj and Naeem, I would love for you guys to kind of talk about just some tips around just any money advice that you can give our young people in terms of whether it's saving on tuition or needs versus wants, just any money tips that you can give them that you guys have found helpful during your career.
I think one of the big things is having a budget and making sure you stick to that budget. And because like oftentimes I would catch myself like, oh, just because my friends are spending money, that's like a way for me to spend money. But when it's necessarily probably isn't the best for you, like the best way for you to spend money. So like you should probably have like a set budget of how much money you want to spend like each week, and make sure you stick to that really strong. And another really big thing, if you guys are responsible, is like getting a credit card. I feel like it's really one of those big things like no one really tells you about, or a lot of people don't, where it's like you guys should definitely get a credit card, but always make sure to treat it like a debit card. But that's definitely one big thing that I could suggest for you guys.
Great. Naeem?
I would say have a set number of days to eat out, and because like Raj was saying, it can be you're going with your friends, and now all of a sudden now you're spending money because they're spending money. And another thing I would advise is bringing your own lunch. We're not like, I mean, a lot of us are moving out, so you can actually shop for the stuff you want. You don't have to just bring a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Like even if you want to if you want to make something at the house a little that might be a little more expensive, you're going to end up saving money cooking it compared to actually going out and buying it. So I would just say making lunch and having a set number of days that you eat out, and keeping that in mind so that you don't overspend.
That's very true. That's a lifelong lesson for sure. Can you talk about, Naeem, to just about scholarship opportunities and just some other ways that folks can start thinking about helping to pay for the cost of living or educational expenses outside of financial aid?
You guys, I mean, you guys have been there for me, to be honest. Also, they have, I mean, at SF State with the financial aid package, work study, and then grants, if you can, like, I think a lot of them are, if you're able to keep your grades to a certain level, they'll be able to offer you more money. So just staying disciplined with that and knowing that comes with a reward. In terms of next semester, it might be a little less, or it might even be free, hopefully. But just utilizing that, and then also use because they're coming into BCF, right? So they're part of the scholarship program. Okay, so use that money as like for yourself. I know it can be easy. I'm not saying I've done it, but I know it can be easy. You get a $2,000 check and you're like, oh, like I'm cool now. But like use that for the stuff that you need. To Raj's point, if I'm set with tuition, I use that for my credit card to make sure that my payments are on time and that I'm not going over my limit and that I always have money. So I put that in the savings and then I use that for the card. But it's also beneficial for just helping you maneuver through college, like books and tuition if you need it, supplies and stuff like that. But just use your money as a tool and not just for stuff that you want, but stuff that you need.
Yes. Very true. Very true. So
Also,
I wanted to make, sorry.
Sorry, Linda. I just wanted to mention, like, since Naeem brought up textbooks, like, you can always find a PDF version, whatever the professor says. Like, don't listen to the professor. You can always find a PDF version. And I could send Lynn a couple links and she could maybe send it out to you guys where you could like any textbook, you could definitely find a free version. So I would suggest like you guys just don't go spend like $400 on a textbook for each of your class. It gets super expensive. And I know like that's like, I didn't really realize that my freshman year and I did that. And it cost me a lot of money. So I would definitely suggest you guys try to find a PDF version.
Also, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but also with English classes, because I'm sure I had to take them, I'm sure it's part of everybody's requirement. When you get the books, you can find a lot of those audio books on YouTube. You don't have to buy them. And then you can look online to see where the chapters start and end. So then you know when to pause it. And you can go about your day doing some other stuff, like while you're washing up or getting ready, listen to your audiobook. While you're commuting, listen to your audiobook and make sure that you're in with the chapters, up to date with it. So that's another suggestion, save money.
Yes, you guys are giving great tips that I wasn't even aware of. So yes, thank you so much for sharing. I do want to make sure we talk a little bit about mentoring. And I'll start it off with you, Naeem. If you just want to talk a little bit about how your mentor has been supportive to you in the years that you've been with BCS.
My mentor, he's been good. He's understanding in terms of me being busy. And that's helpful for me because sometimes it can be stressful when you're stressed out to feel that obligation to respond to people or to set up meetings. And at first, that's what we were doing at the beginning because we still didn't really know each other. But through time, like we've been able to communicate when it's beneficial for both of us or at times where we both have time. And he's been really helpful in terms of advice. He helped me recently get ready for an interview, looking over my resume, giving me advice for how to act in the interview, I guess. And yeah, they're beneficial because they've been there and they've done it. So they always have some advice or some wisdom that they can share with you that you might not know already. So use them for them.
Perfect. So before I open this up for our 2020 scholars to ask any questions that they may have, I wanted to end this segment for both, for all three of you to maybe give one tip that you wish you would have knew when you were freshmen that you guys can share out to our scholars.
Oh, I guess I can go. One tip that I would give you would be not to stress about making friends, because it can take a little while to make friends sometimes, or maybe you might make friends the first day you step on campus. But just don't stress about when you make friends. Just try to make the right friends. Try to make the friends that are going to be there when, you might need someone to be on a panel like this in the future, no matter where you go in your career, or someone who's going to be able to, try to give you connections. You want to build connections, and you want to build the right ones so that you all can be successful as a group.
Oh, that's great. Great tip. Raj, Naeem, do you have anything you want to add?
I would say make time for yourself. Make downtime, time to take care of yourself, because depending on how many classes you take, I mean, not even depending on that, college it can be draining. So just make time for yourself. Like Natalie was saying earlier, or Natalie, did I
It's
say it right?
Natalie.
Natalie? Is it Natalie? Okay. All right, cool. I didn't want to mess it up, but the extra A caught me up. But yeah, like Natalie was saying, don't feel guilty for taking time in between studying. That's something that I was struggling with at first. And just don't compare. I know I'm giving hella tips. Don't compare your schedule or what you're doing to anybody else, because you're in this journey not alone, but it's tailored to you. So just take your time and don't feel guilty for taking time for yourself, because it is a draining process, but you'll be all right.
These
Yeah,
are like amazing.
Yeah, I really like what Naeem said about like it's your journey. Like oftentimes, like I noticed that, especially when you first go into college, like oftentimes like it becomes really cliquey in college, where like people don't like get into a group and they like stick with that group of friends and they do like everything with that group of friends. Like branch out and like explore. Like just because you have like a group of friends doesn't mean you have to like spend all of your time with them, you know? So definitely like branch out and yeah, and just don't compare yourself. Like I really like what Naeem said about don't compare yourself, because honestly, everyone's going through their own struggles and it's just, you might not know it. And I feel like when you're having a rough time, like make sure you're talking to someone. Like you could definitely reach out to me. I can help you guys with anything. Like if you guys are having a really hard time with something, and it's just making sure, like you guys should definitely know that BCF is here for you guys. And so yeah, definitely that's one of the best advice I can give you guys.
Oh, I am all caught up in my emotions. You three are amazing. I just want to definitely thank you guys for coming and taking time to talk to our new cohort. You guys have given some great nuggets that I'm hoping that all you scholars are going to keep, one or two at least. I can have done it better myself. I feel like I'm ready to be a freshman again. So thank you all. I wanted to definitely some time and space for the new scholars to ask any questions that maybe have come up in the last 30 minutes, or something that is sitting with you. Just to be very real, there is no small question, there's no dumb question. This is a space for you guys to feel comfortable enough to ask whatever thing that's popping in your head. We are all here to support you. So I'm going to open up the floor, and you guys feel free to ask one of our scholars, our older scholars, any questions that you guys may have, or even a comment if it's not a question. And you can write it, or you can just unmute yourself and ask whatever is comfortable.
I'll go. First, I want to say thank you to all three of you. Honestly, it's really nice to get to hear your perspectives and experiences during college. I feel like we all, as scholars, need to, get an insight from people who have already like experienced their time at universities and state schools. My question is, it's regarding time management. Like we talk about it a lot, but then like for me, because I don't want to generalize, maybe it'll be different for everyone else. I still find myself doing some work or like big assignments last minute. And so I guess now that we're transferring to university, I just want to see like if you guys have any advice or ideas about like, what you guys have done to prevent doing like big assignments or coursework last minute. So yeah.
Who wants to take it?
I can take it. I think the biggest thing is like self-discipline. I think like it's just something you're gonna have to learn, and like make sure you start on like the day or the day after the assignment is assigned, because oftentimes college assignments take multiple days to complete. And I would definitely suggest that you guys are just gonna need to like buckle down and just do it. It's one of those things where it's just you have to do it, and you just have to tell yourself like it's something I have to do. Well, what sounds better, like you starting right now and doing a little every day, like spending an hour every day, or like really stressing about it on the last day and spending like 10 hours in like one day just doing one assignment. And I'm can assure you like it's gonna like you're gonna get a better grade when you start early, because teachers definitely know when you like BS in college. And that's definitely like just self-discipline.
Something to add too real quick. I would say with that planner, what I was able to do is if it's due Friday, I plan for days that I'm gonna work on it too. Because I know sometimes for me personally, it's hard for me to just hop on it the day I get it assigned. So I might work on it the next day. If it's due Friday and I get it on a Monday, I might make some time on Tuesday, Wednesday, really write a note on Thursday, like you need to get on this if I'm not already on it. And yeah, but just like cutting out time in between the week and reminding yourself like, okay, when I'm done with this work, I'm not completely done yet. I might take a break, but I still got to get back and start this assignment or chip away at it and get it started, get it done.
Yep. Ms. Sowers, you want to add to that?
I agree with everything that has already been said. And if you still feel like you have trouble trying to build this schedule or try to like break down when you want to do things, you could definitely go to your academic advisor and they could help you like build it and map out where you need to be studying and like when you do your work throughout the week.
Yep. Yep. Very good. Very good.
Awesome.
Great
Thank
question,
you, guys.
Batul. Lynn, are there any questions in the chat box that
There are. There's
asking?
two.
Okay, cool.
Let's see. Oh yeah. From Natalie Williams, how are clubs in college different from clubs in high school? Somebody want to take?
I think that there are a lot more clubs geared towards like what you want your career to be. So for me, there's a lot of like technology clubs and such. And in addition to that, they do a lot of company tours. So I'm part of a club called ISMA, and we toured Google, Cisco, and like a lot of big name companies where like you might not really do that in high school, or you don't do that in high school. So I feel like it's a really great way to like see what like it's really like in the real world with your career.
Very true.
There's another question, but it's not really applicable to these three students about study abroad. Nia, that's a great question. And I can connect you with folks who studied abroad that can tell you more about how to do that and what it was like. What about the rest of you? Are there any other questions, burning questions? This is your chance to hear from these very wise folks.
This is kind of different, but I was wondering if you guys could share like a memorable experience or a favorite memory you have from college. Just something that we can like look forward to.
Good question. What are some of the highlights that you guys have experienced?
I don't know. There's been a few. I went to this club. I started going to this club. It's called ASA, it's African Student Association, and I was able to meet. They would set up a lot of events. They had like this. They had a beauty pageant. I wasn't in it. I just came through. But, it was cool because it gave me something to look forward to a little bit, and it was just good to be around. I know it's pretty vague. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to give you some details, but it was just good to be at school outside of the school setting. and seeing all the different people that went to the university, I could kind of network. I mean, not really network, but like just talk to different people, and that leads to networking eventually. But and they have food, music, and it was just nice. So like the events on campus aren't like, they're not boring. Like high school, I feel like we just had to keep it in high school. Like in college, they'll go out. Like they were saying, sometimes they even be going out to the club. I'm not 21 yet, so I haven't gone. But it's like these clubs, they're not just like, all right, we're gonna meet in this classroom for an hour and we're just gonna talk about this. It's like, no, like at these clubs, you get to meet people. They check in. We might be talking about problems that we're all having in classes, resources that we can all go to and that we can all use, and just sharing our experiences. So I would say that was pretty cool for me, starting off there.
Yeah. Sounds like fun. You should probably think about joining the beauty pageant next year.
Maybe. I don't know, maybe.
Natalie, Raj, is there any highlights? Anything?
Yeah.
Cool?
I don't want mine to be vague, but I think probably my most memorable moment was when I first got to dip my toe in like volunteer experience, because I really like volunteering. And so one of the volunteer experiences I did was we went to a food bank, and it was much like the people can go in. It was like they were going around shopping, and it was really different to see because I've never been to a food bank like that out here. And I think it was probably my most memorable moment because while I was like passing out food, I got to have like interactions with people who were coming around to get their food, and like a lot of them were telling me about their life. And I just like that I had the opportunity to connect with people in a community that I was new to. And it was just a very different experience because people in New Orleans are not the same as people in California. So to get to know what they're like down there, you know, they're much more, I don't know the word for it. It's a southern feeling. It's different than from here, and I really just enjoyed it. So that was probably my most memorable moment.
Sorry. So for me, I think the most memorable moment was my freshman year. Our school did this thing where like the kids from elementary school for Halloween would come up to the dorms to trick or treat. I don't know how that happened. I don't know if that was the best idea, but it was kind of cool because it was like for like lower income families, and it was really cool. So like we like set up. It was like within Santa Cruz, there are 10 smaller schools, so it was for college 10, and they set up like a little dinner for them, and then they'd come around and like if you had like a little like candy jar. So we literally went downtown just to buy candy for these kids and just come back up and like handed out candy. It was like a really cool experience, although it's like not something you guys were probably looking for.
Thank you.
That's a great question. All right. So we have about 5 minutes or so with each other before Lynn shares about the agreements. I just again want to offer, is there any questions before we transition and thank our scholars, our older scholars, for taking the time to be here with us?
In chat, Rimaj asked about balancing work, study, and school.
Oh, good question. Do you guys want to talk about that?
Study. Mm-hmm.
Raj and Natalie or Naeem?
I could kind of talk about it. My friends have done work study. I was supposed to do it, but then Corona hit and I didn't have a chance. But I feel like it gets way harder to have free time when you do work study, because oftentimes work study does take up a lot of your time. And although it is a good way to make money, I feel like it's really like, again, like coming back to time management, it's like you have to be really strict with how you manage your time, because oftentimes I see a lot of students just go to work and then like they spend a lot of like time at work, and then when they come back home they don't have energy to like do homework. They're really tired. And I feel like it's really important to like make sure like when you guys are doing work study, like make sure you guys aren't overworking yourself.
I can speak to that. So when I was, won't mention the year. So when I was a freshman, I actually had work study the whole time I was a student. And the benefit for me was a lot of times when you're working on campus or you're doing work study, your employer tends to work with your school schedule with less challenges than maybe if you're working off campus. So I worked like, I don't know, between 10 and 15 hours. And for me, it helped with my structuring of my free time. So there are benefits depending who you are and how you are able to manage your time. But it was helpful because it brought in extra income into my pocket that would help me pay for other things that I needed. So I saw it as a benefit during my career.
There's a few more questions in chat if you guys want to check that too.
Does work study go towards, since we're talking work study, only towards tuition, or does a check go to you directly? You get paid, but it's considered part of your, to be part of your grant money. And if you don't work, you don't get that work study. And there's a question about doing work study the first semester. It's really a personal, if you're used to working while you're in school, I think the first semester is a time of transition. That's why, there's a lot of times they recommend that you take maybe easier classes in the first term because there's so much you're transitioning to. No, you don't have to, oh, and I'm like, let me finish I'm like responding as they come in. So you do not have to pay back work study if you don't use it. It's there for you. If you find a work study job, one of the things that we're not really sure about yet is what work study jobs are going to be available on campuses during COVID. If there are departments that still need help, I would recommend checking in with the career center at your school. And we can do some research too, but I think it's like with everything, it's changing, but you don't have to pay it back if you don't use it. If you don't take your work study for a couple of years, they're going to stop offering it to you. Let's see. And, oh, go ahead.
Can I make a comment on work study?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do it, but I knew some people who did. And at SF State, at least, I don't know if it's like this at the other campuses, they paid you below the minimum wage, and they had a price set at their, I don't know, it was like, I forgot the price, but I remember people coming to me complaining about it. But what my cousin, who actually goes to SF State as well, he worked a job near the campus. It was like and we have a little mall right next to it, and a lot of the jobs closer to campus are a bit more understanding, and they'll work with your schedule and pay you what you're actually supposed to get paid. So just a heads up, if you guys have other options other than work study, if you guys are trying to make money, because at least at SF State, they try and lowball you, and I don't agree with that at all. So
that's horrible. But really quick, I just want to make sure that you guys don't think that every work study job will pay you under minimum wage. So just make sure you guys do your research.
There's a question about when we're going to match with mentors.
Okay, really quick, because we are over time a little bit. So mentoring. So as of right now, I am still in the process of interviewing mentors to get them ready to meet all of you. So between now, let me back up. My goal is to make sure that you guys are paired before you guys start your fall semester or fall quarter. So once that happens, you guys will be receiving an email from us just stating a short bio of who your mentor is, some things about them, their picture. And then after that point, you guys will meet with your mentor and either myself or Lynn to kind of, again, go over some more match related things. So hopefully you guys will get your person before you guys leave for school. And if not, just know that I'm still always going to start and continuously look for someone to match you guys with. So just kind of be patient, but hopefully it'll be before you guys leave.
Okay. Can we give thanks and applause to our 3 panelists that dropped so much knowledge? Like, I feel like they gave life lessons, not just college lessons. That was incredible.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
You guys were amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome to stay on, or you're welcome to leave. I have a couple last things I want to say to our freshmen. Just know that we are already your support system. So if you have a challenge or a question, you can reach out to either Linda or myself. We are going to be, depending on the school you go to, we're dividing up the students. So I will be the college success advisor for some of you, and Linda will be for others. But right now you can just reach out to any of us if you have a question, and we will help you. The other thing I wanted to mention is checks are going to be coming out soon. And one of the things that we're asking you to do, we emailed you out a student agreement, or the scholarship agreement. We want you to read it over very carefully. We talked about a lot of our expectations that are in that agreement, but if you could take a look at it and sign it and send it back to us or to me. If you don't have a printer, you can we can share it via Google Drive, and you can just type in your name, or we'll figure something out, or there's a system we can actually do like sign documents via an electronic signature. So just reach out to us, but we need to get your student agreement before we can disperse your check. And then very last thing, we have an assessment that we're going to be sending you, emailing out to you for Thursday's workshops. They're going to be talking about executive, there's a group called Classroom Matters. They're like a nonprofit educational and tutoring and support program. They're going to be doing a workshop a lot about how to manage your time and how to study and like executive functioning skills. And they want you to do a self-assessment to get an idea of how you learn and like where you're at right now. We're going to be emailing that out to you, so you should bring it with you on Thursday. And I think that's everything. We really appreciate you all giving us this much time. I know it's hard to sit on Zoom for a couple of hours, and it's hard for me too. But it's really nice to see your faces. Normally we would be making you do some really embarrassing like icebreakers, and hopefully we'll have time for that on Thursday. But we usually make you sing or do something to kind of, so you can get to know one another. So we'll be thinking about that. It's a little harder to do on Zoom, but hopefully it won't be that long before we can see you in person. Any final questions? Anybody? Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're free.
Time.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you Thursday.
All right, guys. See you guys Thursday.
Thank you.